Okay, hello. I'm going to show you the 10 case studies work that we did with a large group of co-authors. I'm not really going to go into the case studies themselves, but I'm trying to summarize what we learned in this exercise. As you know, the European seas host a huge variety of different habitats, different species, different types of ecosystem functions from the Arctic waters to the high salinity, warmer waters in the Mediterranean and the low salinity waters in the Baltic. And as Sabine and Jakob already explained, the concept of biodiversity is really complicated with different spatial scales, temporal scales. And how are we going to make an integrated assessment of biodiversity? So that was the one of the key questions in this project. And well, we can use indicators to indicate the stages of each of these ecosystem components. But how can we combine these indicators to give a fair assessment of the overall ecosystem status in these areas? And we approached this by using the NEED tool that's been presented already to the 10 case study areas around all of the European seas. So we had very different types of case study areas, from the huge area in the Barents Sea to a very small area in the Saronikos Gulf in Greece, in Athens. And also the data that we had available was quite variable, quite different in the different case studies. So the areas were different and the data available were quite different. And these are just very quick statistics. We had the number of spatial areas range from 1 to 60 specific assessment units. We had 3 to 9 different habitats, etc. So they were really quite heterogeneous. But this figure shows you that on the upwards there are different case studies, and across you have the different ecosystem components. So basically we had a lot of indicators or indicator values for benthic fauna, fish, birds and mammals, while the others were not so well represented in this case study. So this is actually how much weight they gain in the final evaluation, not how many indicators there were, but how much weight they have. And Jakob showed the uncertainty assessment of this. These are the final results when it all comes together in the end. So we actually did, in many of the case studies, we did not have so much uncertainty, but we were quite certain. So the bar is up to 100%. We know it's in moderate, or we know it's in poor, or in good status. Only a few of them had some uncertainty. That's probably something we need to work on further. So I'll just tell you quickly some things that we learned in this process and some things that we need to think about when we do these needs assessments. What we need to understand. So one of the things that we need to understand when we work on this tool is that the indicators that you have, they end up having very different weight in the final assessment depending on the geographical area that you apply them on, and also the habitats that they represent, and how many other indicators you have in the same area, in the same habitats. So it's very important to how you define the areas and how you define the habitats. That will have a huge effect, or it can have a huge effect on the results. So you need to be very careful about that. Of course, you can weigh the indicators differently. You don't have to go by the default, but also that needs to be considered very carefully to give a fair assessment of the diversity. And particularly those indicators that carry a lot of weight in the final evaluation have to be considered really, really carefully. You have to think about whether your assessment of the current status is how certain you are about it and how good data is based on. And you have to think about how certain, or you have to be really careful setting the GES limits, because the high leverage indicators will be super important in the end. So we also found, as I sort of indicated earlier, that it was very difficult to think about the uncertainty of the individual indicators. So that's really something that what Jakob just told us will maybe help us later on. All the case studies were different in their particular ways, and we couldn't find a number of indicators that we could confidently say that, okay, if you have so and so many indicators in your assessment, then you are likely to be safe, no matter what your indicators are. But they were quite, the uncertainty reduction was quite different in all of the cases. So the assessment comes from the data you have, so you have to also know what your data, where it comes from, and what's the quality of the data. And sort of all of this boils down to the fact that the assessment is never just a mechanistic exercise. Put in some numbers, you get out some other numbers, but you really have to know what you do and think about it very carefully. Thank you.